An Iranian armed forces commander has threatened the United States with a, quote, decisive response, according to reports this morning.
Well, I think that the Foreign Office has issued a statement following my call with the Iranians, and I think their take on the conversation doesn't accord at all with what I said.
So Keir Starmer has insisted the UK was not involved in Saturday's attack, but won't rule out military support in future. We're joined by the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy. Good morning.
One phone call turns into a credibility assessment. Lammy rejects any guilt but falls short of thanking the American bombs, so leaving both publications and opponents to cover the void. Make sure you like and subscribe.
We're crystal clear that Iran cannot have the nuclear capability that it desires. And let me just get into this, Ed. The IAEA, that's the inspectorate, the global inspectorate on nuclear issues, found that there was 60% enrichment on some of their sites.
So that's very interesting. I mean, from that answer, it sounds as though you're saying Donald Trump did the right thing, given that nuclear threat, to get the Iranians round the table to start negotiating. So I wasn't expecting you to go so far in endorsing what the Americans did this weekend.
So, with that in mind, is that also your message to the American president that further action is not welcome? And if the Americans put in a request for the UK to join any action, or indeed if they put in a request to, for instance, use any of our bases, your message is no further military action necessary, and this can only be dealt with by talks.
Lammy balances on a fence, brandish the uranium stats, deny endorsement, and hope nobody finds the missing yes or no.
I said on Friday that this is a perilous time, but I think I should emphasise the UK was not involved in this action. The Iranians, of course, are aware of that. We have been clear that they should not extend and escalate to US bases. They should not escalate into the Strait of Hormuz. All of our partners are taking that message to the Iranians. They have no air defences at this time. Their proxies in Hezbollah and Hamas are seriously weakened at this time. They must recognise that, and that's why it's important for them to step back.
Meanwhile, we understand that there is enormous concern that Iran could activate sleeper cells. What is your assessment of the terror threat currently that we live in the UK?
The David Lammy, who a week ago was criticising Israel and sanctioning Israeli cabinet members because of their actions in Gaza, now defending, prescribing Palestine action. He'll smile at you, won't he?
Ministers highlight unsuccessful attempts at vigilance, but their own numbers suggest an enemy already inside the gates. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Well, let's be clear. The Americans have been very clear in their own press conference yesterday, and Secretary of State Rubio was clear to me on the phone yesterday. This was a targeted military action to deal with the nuclear capability on those nuclear sites. The assessment has not yet been made about the effectiveness of that action, but the Americans are also clear that this can only ultimately be dealt with diplomatically, and that is why they want to see Iran come back to the negotiating table.
That's clear.
And their assessment, this is to shift Iran into a real place in terms of that nuclear capability. So they've been serious about that, and we support and are working alongside them to get that diplomatic outcome. We weren't involved, and obviously I was sitting in the White House on Thursday, well aware that all options were on the table for the United States, and the president was weighing his decisions, or the decisions that set before him. We're absolutely crystal clear that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
So did America make the right decision?
Hugely destabilizing, Ed. That is a decision for America. What I'm engaged in is diplomacy. That's why I was sitting with the Iranians on Friday alongside Germany, France, and the EU representative.
The government treats any precise ask as tomorrow's issue and dismisses partnership details, acknowledging foreknowledge.
It is for the Home Secretary, and she's properly advised by an independent organisation to come forward with further prescription. Palestinian Action have engaged in serious sabotage and criminal acts. What happened at RAF Brize Norton is a disgrace, but it's for her to consider seriously and soberly the advice that she's had. And I think she's making a statement later on today in the House of Commons.
The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu will think that David Lammy, who a week ago was criticising Israel and sanctioning Israeli cabinet members because of their actions in Gaza, now prescribing Palestine action. He'll smile at you, won't he?
What is your assessment of the terror threat currently that we live in the UK?
Well, Iran is the biggest sponsor of state threats globally. We have had 20 cases foiled by our security and police services since 2022. We've got 3 Iranian nationals that have been arrested under our National Security Acts, and that'll be coming before the courts. And we will be bringing forward legislation to deal with state threats, because Sir John Hall reviewed this for us and has found gaps in our existing legislation to deal with state threats. And we've put Iran, of course, on the highest level of national interference, our national interference legislation.
Lammy seeks to square tough words on Iran with disapproval of Israeli hardliners. Local protest organisations become collateral in the balancing act.
I've endorsed what the IAEA found. I've endorsed what was before the UN Security Council just 10 days ago. And I'm saying that this can only be dealt with diplomatically. The UK has been playing a role here for the last 20 years. Gordon Brown, back in 2009, when we revealed to the world that Fordo existed, they've been hiding that fact, said that they were engaged in deception. So this is a long-running story. The UK position has been consistent across several governments. This can only be achieved diplomatically. Here in England, for civil nuclear means, we've got enrichment on our sites of about 6%. Why do they need 60% enrichment unless what they're trying to achieve is a nuclear weapon? We have to stop that happening. Okay. They have to get serious about our intent. They have now got to negotiate in good faith. We're crystal clear that Iran cannot have the nuclear capability that it desires. And let me just get into this, Ed. The IAEA, that's the inspectorate, the global inspectorate on nuclear issues, found that there was 60% enrichment on some of their sites. Here in England, for civil nuclear means, we've got enrichment on our sites of about 6%. Why do they need 60% enrichment unless what they're trying to achieve is a nuclear weapon?
The Foreign Secretary presents Iran with a choice: either approach a West suddenly ready to strike first, or come to the table crippled. While David Lammy ducks endorsement, Susanna Reid and Ed Balls digging for a verdict on US airstrikes' terror consequences, and UK Red Lines touts diplomacy and brandishes danger figures. The outcome is lots of uranium figures and legislative promises, little clarity on whether Britain will ever raise the phone call from hypothetical to operation. Let us know what you think down below in the comments.